I revoked my daughter's college fund, and she didn't take it well.
Maybe you should go back to college.
I know it sounds bad, but please hear me out. When my wife and I divorced, my daughter, 14 female, took my wife's side, which I was pretty upset about and surprised by. She was 12 when we separated, and we were very close, unlike her and her mother. I didn't hold it against her because she's a kid and didn't know any better, and I make the effort to see her. I love spending time with my daughter. By the way, this comes from Deleted, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/okstorytime subreddit. So, I met my current wife 4 years ago. She was pre-law and was planning on taking loans to pay for law school. However, about 2 years ago, we were engaged, and I didn't want her to take on any loans, so I offered to pay for law school. She was apprehensive, but I wanted a good start to our married life and did not want any loans hanging over our heads, so she agreed. I used my daughter's college fund to pay for my wife's school and planned on replenishing it so that my daughter would have a fund when it was her turn to go to college. I put a little money each month. I honestly thought this was okay because when I had asked her about college at the time of doing this, she said that she wanted to go to makeup school and be a makeup artist and that college sucks. Well, apparently her mindset changed because on Sunday, we met up and she was talking about AP classes. I was surprised because I didn't think she was interested in school. You should go to school. I asked her if she was joking, but she said that she's aiming for computer science at some top private college and that her dream is to start a startup business. She then asked me if she had a college fund and she wanted to know if she should add on an EC or get a job. I told her the truth about her college fund and that right now there's not enough money for even a year at a private college. She then started crying and making a scene and told me that she couldn't believe that I chose my wife over her mom and now I'm choosing her again over my daughter again, which is not true since my daughter is getting a fund, just not private school tuition. She then called my wife a bunch of awful names that I won't say here. I told her that she's probably not going to get into a private school because she wasn't even serious about school 2 years ago. She called me a crap dad, and ran away until her mom came to get her. Her mom later called me angrily about what I said to her and said that my daughter is on track to win some prestigious science fair award. And I was way out of line with what I said and that I obviously don't know her. I was honestly so done with the BS she pulled, and her attitude towards my wife never has been good, and said that I'm probably going to revoke my daughter's college fund since she obviously doesn't deserve it with what she pulled today. My daughter is now refusing to see me and calling me by my first name. I still stand by my decision. Am I the a-hole?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Point blank period a-hole.
Yeah.
And there is an edit. Oh boy. Oh boy. I know that OP
I'm
was
so
torn apart in the
excited.
comments. Edit. I'm done with the rude comments about my wife. It's am I the a-hole? Not is my wife the a-hole?
Guess what? You both are.
You're both the a-hole. Not that you guys deserve any additional information, but my wife really is great. I'll accept an a-hole judgment for me cheating. I was a super a-hole for cheating. Happy? My wife wasn't. When we met, I was 32 and she was 20. We had a casual relationship and I didn't mean to start it, but she was so amazing. She was 20 and had such a vibrant personality, and I was really depressed at the time, but she helped uplift me. I didn't really tell her I was married, only that I had a daughter. And I know that's bad, but I didn't feel married to my ex-wife at the time. I was so unhappy, and she was too. My wife and I had an amazing relationship, and as she was going to be graduating college soon, she wanted to get serious. I told her the truth, and my wife was upset, but she decided to forgive me. I proposed and introduced her to my daughter, and she hoped we would be a family. She was nothing but kind, my daughter, but my daughter was hostile from the minute she met her. Never gave her a chance. My daughter and my mom would play cruel pranks on her, like organizing a date and never showing up, ruining her wedding dress, spreading rumors about her to all my relatives, making fun of her to her face. My wife took the high route and forgave all that, only speaking highly of my daughter. Even to her friends, she'll brag about how pretty and amazing my daughter is, and how she's sure my daughter will accept her when she's a bit older. So yes, my wife is a saint and an amazing person. Stop crapping on her, Reddit. You got your backstory. Edit number 2. I will keep my daughter's fund and try to add enough money for private school. If she doesn't apologize and consider my wife her family, though, she won't be getting it. I'd rather her be hostile to me and hate me rather than my wife, since I effed up. But my wife is feeling guilty over something that's not her mistake. And there is an update, folks.
I'll try to add to my college fund so that your college fund doesn't exist.
Your college fund is zero.
Your college fund can't even fund probably a semester of school.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's zero, but OP has said it can't fund a semester of private school. So that it's just
because he said he was putting like $200 a month in that, as though that would even pay. That would not even, having looked into special effects makeup school before, would not even fund that.
And also, if he's saying he put $200 a month, and this is probably, she's like 12 when they divorced. She's probably like 16, 17.
He said she was like a sophomore now.
Yeah,
I think.
okay,
Yeah.
so she's probably about 16. So it's 4 years.
Oh my God. He has saved $4,800 maybe.
And he's threatening. He's like, maybe you'll get that $4,000 if you're good. What?
That's 2 years of room and board here in the U.S.
Insane.
At a public university.
Yeah, that doesn't even get you, like, if you went to another country, like, let's say you go freaking study in Australia, that's not even a year there. Okay, there's an update. So a lot of crap went down after I posted this, or because I posted this, actually. My wife called my daughter's mother because she felt bad about the situation and is sad about my relationship with my daughter. She insisted on the remaining money in the account, about $45,000, going to my daughter in a separate fund controlled by her mother. Her mother didn't take that well and hung up on my wife after telling her that she didn't need her charity. My wife now won't talk to me because she feels that I put her in a bad position and should have told her before that the money was my daughter's, because she figured that it was just extra money I had left over and not my daughter's fund. She's saying that I caused unnecessary drama and could have handled the situation way better, and that she's trying her best to fix what I broke, but she's exhausted. She's currently packing to go stay with her parents for the time being, so that's that. My ex-wife is furious at me because my wife called her and she didn't want to hear my wife's witch voice. She blew up at me for taking everything so far and is blaming me for ruining everyone's happiness. She says that I can't fix anything anymore and not to even worry about my daughter's fund because she didn't raise her daughter to get on all four knees and beg, and that she has everything figured out for her daughter now. She thanks me for putting everything into perspective and said that I'm no longer permitted to visit or contact my daughter. She has full custody. I'm now sitting here typing all this out and figuring out ways to contest custody. That's what's happening in my life right now. I just don't get how everything got all messed up when my heart is in the right place. I don't feel wrong.
What?
Update. The ex-wife's post.
Yes!
She's going to be like, he's a freaking liar. We've never played tricks on his... All right, folks. We've got the ex-wife's post. This is about to get even crazier. Am I the a-hole for not dropping out of med school for my ex's mental health?
Oh,
okay.
So this isn't in relation to the story we read necessarily.
Well, I think it's going to give us a little bit more background. So a family member, not going to say who, so my ex won't curse them out, forwarded me Victor's post. Victor, if you're reading this, I honestly can't believe you. You don't give two craps about Rachel, and now neither does she. I debated about posting this, but I want an answer from unbiased people who are not close to me. Also, this is not about our relationship, but if I was the a-hole in this situation. My ex, Victor, and I got married when we were only 20 years old. We've been dating since our freshman year of high school, and we were in love at the time. I had aspirations towards med school, while Victor wanted to work in the tech field. However, I had to put a hold for med school for many reasons, including the birth of my daughter. After college, Victor found a nice tech job, so we moved to another city across the country. I found biotech jobs in the same city, but I was not happy with the move because of how far I was from my family and friends. I felt lonely and was unable to make any lasting friends. Victor heard me, but he loved his job and new friends, and we didn't move until I got into med school a few years later. Although I had another offer from a school in the city we were currently at, I missed my family and support system and asked Victor if he could compromise for me this time, since we moved last time for him. His company was offering the same position with higher pay if we moved too. He was unhappy about it, but agreed once Rachel also expressed her desire to be closer to her grandparents and a chance to get a bigger house. After I started med school, Victor's unhappiness grew exponentially, and this is probably when he started to feel like he wasn't married.
I guarantee it.
He missed his friend. He didn't like his new workplace and didn't like the toll med school was taking on me. There's so much work and hours, and I barely had any time other than for my daughter, Rachel. After my first year, Victor encouraged me to drop out of medical school, as I clearly didn't like it because of how much work I had, and that he wanted to move back to where we were previously living. I told him that I hated it there and would only think about moving back for residency after finishing 3 more years of med school. Victor told me that he was worried that this move could give him depression and that we had to move back. He said I was being unreasonable and that I don't care about him. By the way, if you care about us, you'll listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left to this story. Do you have any final thoughts?
Oh my God. Well,
wow.
I mean, he sounds like he never wanted to take care of his kid. He just wants to hang out with his bros. He doesn't care about his now ex-wife.
Yeah.
I'm glad she got out.
I know. I mean, like, literally is just the worst person ever and doesn't see it.
I don't understand how he's so... Someone earlier said maybe narcissist, and I'm like, 100%.
So. Like, he only thinks about himself. I'm not surprised that he's married to a freaking 20-year-old.
No.
Because he's not mature at all.
And the thing is as she matured and he still continued not to, she was like, oh my God. So he's just going to keep finding maturing people, and then they're going to mature and be like, you suck.
Yeah. Like, he got married when he was 20 to a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
And then has stayed in that mindset.
He has not
for
moved.
12 years.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit left to the story. Reddit, was I the a-hole for not dropping out of medical school and moving back to my old city for the sake of my ex? After this, you can guess what happens by going on Victor's post. It's, am I the a-hole for revoking my daughter's college fund? So we got married in 2004 when we were 20 and had Rachel in 2006. After that, we moved and we stayed for about 8 to 9 years. Around 2014 to 2015, I started med school, and by 2018, we were divorced. He's now 36, and I'm still 35, about to be 36. I'm doing my residency right now and get paid basically nothing. I just paid for 4 years of med school with my savings. Luckily, my parents had saved money for me for med school, which I didn't use, and I have some of my own savings left over, so Rachel's taken care of. We resolved this issue, and we won't be needing her father's help. And there are some comments to finish the story off. Comment 1 says, it's crazy how he doesn't mention why daughter took mom's side. Like, he leaves out the cheating and affair as if they don't matter. And reply says he knew he was the a-hole. I do actually want to quickly check the beginning of the story if he said that he cheated. He didn't say it.
I caught it from
in the first
post.
He didn't say why they got separated. He's
just
like,
said
I don't understand why my daughter won't, doesn't want to be with me. Wow. Yeah, and then he said, but it's fine because I didn't feel like I was married to her.
I was married, but I feel like I was married,
so it's fine.
So my daughter can't actually hate me for being so bad.
Yikes. But folks, that was the end of that story.
I went no contact with my grandmother again.
Grandma, you won't be seeing me anymore.
And this comes directly from the r/OKstorytime subreddit. Growing up, I spent a lot of time with my maternal grandmother. My parents both worked, and we were relatively low income, so my dad often dropped me off at her house. My father used to work in the city she lived, about 30 minutes from where I lived. She babysat me and my cousins, hosted sleepovers, and we got extremely close. She felt almost like a mother figure, as me and my mother's relationship had never been particularly strong. By the way, this comes from Desperate Cup 9912, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKstorytime subreddit. Okay, now that we have some context, let's get into the initial incident that imploded the relationship I had with my grandmother. In 2020, I, female 18, during peak vid, shaved my head. Yeah, I know, real Britney Spears of me. Did some soul searching, and I realized I was bi. I had always dated men, but around this time, I started dating my friend of 5+ years whom we will call Jennifer, also female 17. We'd always been kind of flirty and shared mutual friends, but we were never close until then. So, rightfully so, I thought the best person to start my coming out journey with would be my grandmother. So I texted her and told her I had a date coming up, and she asked me, who's the lucky man? So I told her her name is Jennifer. She immediately reacted harshly. She started asking me all these questions, which seems like it wouldn't be a big deal. That's normal relationship stuff. Families ask how long you've known each other, how you met, how old, what are they like, etc. But she kept saying I needed to break up with her because she was underage and I'd end up on the registry. I explained it was none of her business, but if it gave her peace of mind, it didn't matter because we weren't spicily active, and being attracted to the same gender wouldn't put me on a registry alone. But no, she doubled down, saying she was ashamed that I'd grow out of it, and warned labeling myself would change how everyone treated me. I was a little taken aback by her comments and thought she was supposed to be the closest person I had in my family. I told her everything, and my heart was broken by her reaction. Again, I explained we were just going on a date. She just went on to tell me that she was ashamed and that I would grow out of it, and all young women experiment in their teen years.
Your
Grandma,
grandma's
you're
bi.
bi.
Your grandma's bi. Grandma, calls coming from inside the house.
She's just sad that she couldn't be bi.
She's like, oh, women do it. and then they stop.
All young women experiment in their teen years and eventually into their early 20s. Grandma was bi for years.
And even into their early
even into
like
their
all
early
young women experiment with
when
their
I was
first loves.
20.
When I was 20, I had a long-term relationship with a woman.
I had a Jennifer once.
Yes, she was beautiful. We lived together for a short time. We
Now
almost
she's
married.
just my roommate.
And then I grew out of it.
And again warned me that I shouldn't label myself because it would affect the way everyone would treat me. Her reaction made me too scared to come out to anyone else. After explaining the whole situation, Jennifer was understanding and extremely supportive. So was her family, so this was really comforting. A couple of months later, after me and Jennifer were official, we came up with a game plan. One night, I sat down and wrote my parents a letter coming out, explaining what happened with my grandmother, including direct quotes from our text conversation and some other details that followed the text conversation, and why I'd be going low/no contact with her. I gave my parents the letter and told them to read it after I left the house, but that I would be going to stay the night with Jennifer, which at the time was not an uncommon thing. My parents texted me immediately after I left the house, and they had some time to read the letter. And they told me they loved me and accepted me no matter what. Eventually, the rest of the family found out they were accepting, and it wasn't exactly a shock to most. Jennifer and I broke up 8 to 9 months later for unrelated reasons. However, I was still low to no contact with my grandmother. My mother would try and smooth things over, invite me to holidays at her house, and tell my grandmother about the different things going on in my life, as I would not respond to her messages or attempts at contact. If I did happen to respond, I would be very short and would not give much effort. While my mother tried to be the peacemaker, as this was her mother, this situation was the final straw for my father. My father had always had issues with my maternal grandmother due to multiple manipulative events that happened over the years he had been with my mother, and her disrespecting me was the straw that broke the camel's back. Looking back, it made a lot of sense that he didn't really like her, and I could tell he just never said anything because he didn't want to taint the relationship I had with her. However, now that said relationship was tainted on her accord, he no longer felt the need to hide his feelings about her from me. During this time, my mother, trying to play peacekeeper, really only further put a strain on our relationship, and my father was really my rock through this situation. Months after me and Jennifer had broken up, I was on a trip to Eugene with my best friend at the time, and my grandmother had called me while we were driving home. I had just kind of looked at my friend, and she was like, if you want to take this call, I'm here for you, and I will be your moral support. I know you have a lot you want to say to her. So I answered the call for the first time in months. The conversation started casual. How have you been? What are you doing? Etc. She could tell I was being short, and so she finally just came right out with it. Do you know how hard it was for me to keep your little secret when you told me you were bi? Because it was so hard for me to not say anything and to not talk to my daughter and tell her about what you were doing. When I reiterated that it wasn't her news to share, she continued gaslighting and guilt-tripping. This destroyed any hope I had of reconciling. I told her off and explained she was why I was going to stay low contact. Around that same time was when I came to realize just how controlling she could be. To go back to the additional information I said I included in my coming out letter to my parents, that also helped me come to the conclusion that she was extremely manipulative. I came out to her around Halloween. Shortly after is my mother's birthday. For my mother's birthday, we had a get-together at my paternal grandparents' house in which we had both sides of the family over for a big dinner. At some point during the dinner, I was helping prepare dinner in the kitchen, and my dad and grandpa were talking in the living room, and I thought I heard my name. So I peeked my head in and was like, "Oh, were you talking about me?" And my grandmother goes, "Oh, why? Are you nervous they're talking about you? Do you maybe have a secret you want to share with the whole family?" Essentially trying to force me to come out in front of my entire extended family. Then again, later, she asked me to walk her to her car, and as soon as we were out of earshot of the front door, she wraps her arm around my shoulder and tightens around my neck, pulling me down to her height, as I'm decently tall, and whispers in my ear, "Don't worry, I still love you, no matter how wrong I think this whole thing is," referring to me being bi. Yeah, crazy. Years later, I had eventually slowly letting her reintegrate herself into my life. She was at my college graduation. She was at some birthday parties, and we sometimes see each other at family events. But she always continues to make comments and push boundaries. I guess you could compare it to losing the rose-colored glasses. I started noticing her manipulative and controlling behaviors again. Her trying to push herself into my life more than I wanted. She would make comments about the fact that I went back to dating men after me and my girlfriend broke up, and said that she was glad my phase was over and that I was back on men.
Yeah, well, I won't be. It's not a phase. Me not talking to you, Grandma, is not a phase.
Yeah.
That's going to last forever.
Bi women can never go back to dating men. That'd be crazy.
That's not literally a part of the definition.
That's not how biness works. Just because I predominantly date men doesn't negate the fact that I like women. Didn't realize I'd have to explain that to an adult who's also bi.
It seems like she's also bi.
Now on to the big question. The current reason I'm wanting to go back to low contact. My now fiance, 22 male, yes, male, and I moved into a new apartment recently, and it was a hassle. I'm a stay-at-home fiance, and I did a lot of the moving between apartments by myself while he was at work. But one weekend, he was off, and we finished up the bulk of the moving and cleaned out the old apartment. By the way, we have a bulk of episodes you can listen to with full stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime. We do have another update, but what are you thinking?
Honestly, it seems like 98% of your family are incredibly supportive of you, and then we just have this grandma who unfortunately is the first person that you told and sucks. But I think just continue to have that limited contact with her because she is being really awful and unsupportive, and you don't need someone in your life, even though the loss is very hard, and it sucks that you have to go through that. You don't deserve to deal with her being awful to you.
Exactly. But we have an update. We hadn't even unpacked any boxes, really, but we decided we deserved a nap when she called saying, "Which house is yours? I'm in the driveway between a yellow and a green one." I was shocked. She'd used my location to show up unannounced. I didn't even know she had it. When I hesitated, she guilted me about driving all the way here, and that if we weren't ready for company, she'd just drive all the way back home. Being a people pleaser, I let her in, but she just walked around her whole apartment while my fiance just kind of stood there half asleep trying to figure out what was going on. Keep in mind, he hasn't even met her at this point. This is their first time meeting. So eventually she leaves, and me and my fiance just kind of look at each other baffled, kind of just laugh like, what the F just happened? So would I be the a-hole if I went back to low/no contact with her out of the blue for continuing to cross lines after all these years?
No.
And that's the end of that.
You would not be the a-hole.